This is Mac OS Ken.
Tumultuous tariff times continue. Thoughts on civility for which you did not ask. And a special deal for Apple TV Plus. It is Wednesday, the 9th of April, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. It was another bad day for Apple shares, but they weren't alone. So, Yahoo Finance says Apple initially climbed as high as $190.34 on Tuesday after opening at $186.73. But investors began dropping out following the tariff announcement. That would be the announcement that the U.S. will levy a 104% tariff on goods imported from China. Doesn't sound great to me, but don't worry. I've been assured by some rando who claims in his email signature to be a race car driver that people I cite have no idea what they're talking about, and neither do I, which I guess makes Apple's market cap reduction of over $635 billion over the past week a figment of our collective imagination, which I have to say is kind of a relief. For the record, I never claimed to be a financial analyst nor an international commerce expert, but seriously, nobody knows anything but you. I'm going to go back to the comment I made last week when President Trump said there was bound to be pain because the tariffs are surgery. Feels like they probably should have been done surgically then. It seems like there could have been some planning for how the markets might react, because right now, Racer X, you're saying financial analysts are wrong, political analysts are wrong, conservative financial commentators are wrong, the markets are wrong, and lay people with whom you disagree are wrong. And dude, that's almost everybody. When tariffs on goods coming from China were only 54%, Yahoo Finance says Baird equity research analyst William Power was already projecting the potential for Apple's gross margins to drop from 46.8% to 44.4% in 2025 and to 41.6% in 2026. And the additional levy is bound to have a greater impact. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a press briefing on Tuesday that the president believes we have the labor, we have the workforce, we have the resources to bring iPhone manufacturing to the U.S. No time soon, according to Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives. In a note to investors last week, which was almost a year ago, Ives wrote, the reality is that it would take over 3 years and $30 billion in our estimation to move even 10% of Apple's supply chain from Asia to the US, with major disruption in the process. If consumers want a $3,500 iPhone, we should make them in New Jersey or Texas or another state. The concept of making iPhones in the US is a non-starter in our view. Price points would move up so dramatically it's hard to comprehend, and the near-term margin impact on Apple's gross margins during this tariff war could be mind-boggling for the U.S. tech sector. And that was last week. Just yesterday, which was almost a week ago, Ives was quoted in MarketWatch saying we can just make this in the USA is a statement that incredibly understates the complexity of the Asia supply chain and the way electronics, chips, semiconductors, fabs, hardware, smartphones, etc. are made for U.S. consumers over the last 30 years. And iPhones made in the U.S. would cost $3,500 versus $1,000, and the AI revolution trade would be significantly slowed down by these head-scratching tariffs that need to be negotiated to realistic levels. If not, it's darker days ahead for the tech world, and U.S. consumers will be paying the price for it. Again, don't worry, the people I cite to you have no idea what they're talking about. Actually, the people I quote are just as ignorant as I am, according to our friend the race car driving emailer. Mr. Ives has an outperform rating on Apple shares. Earlier this week, he lowered his price target on the shares from $325 to $250. At the time, I noted that put the price target held by Morgan Stanley analyst Eric Woodring higher than that held by Mr. Ives. But never mind. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note from Woodring on Tuesday, quoting that, "The wall of worry is still too high to climb, with uncertainty near all-time highs, enterprise and consumer hardware spending growth already slowing, and reciprocal tariffs a significant headwind for the majority of our group. We still see too many downside risks." If that sounds broad, it's because it was. According to Apple 3.0's Philip Elmer DeWitt, the note covered an across-the-board target cut on 16 tech companies, from IBM to Seagate. Woodring says it's not just the tariffs. Broad policy uncertainty began to impact hardware spending in late February, according to his note, with a Q1 survey of CIOs showing 2025 hardware spending growth at 0.7% year-on-year, a 4-year low. Make it all more expensive, though, and I guess you've got a party. By the way, CIOs, ignorant, according to the guy who boasts of driving a car around in circles. They must be. I cited them. You know, a month or two ago, I had a listener write in saying they disagreed with something I had said on the show. They said it politely. They said it cordially. We actually had an exchange of ideas back and forth by email. He didn't change my mind. I feel certain I didn't change his. But we were pleasant, we exchanged ideas, and we parted amicably. I don't know whether he's still listening, but here's the thing, Steve McQueen. He didn't come at me insulting, and he didn't come at me condescending. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. That means talking down to people. I wish you hadn't come the way you did, and I'm sorry you no longer like this free show. You know precisely what you can do with it. But we were talking about Mr. Woodring. He still has an overweight rating on Apple shares. He's dropped his price target on the shares from $252 to $220. What do you want from me? Good news? Well, here are two stories that offer glimmers. According to a piece from MarketWatch, BofA analyst Wamsi Mohan says historically, when Apple shares are as pummeled as they have been over the past week, it's a good time to buy. Let us be very clear. I am not saying that. I'm telling you what he said. Or what MarketWatch says he said. Quoting his note, "Geopolitical uncertainty around tariffs have been the primary reason for the stock's worst pullback versus the overall market, compounded to some degree by the delay of Siri features with Apple Intelligence. In our view, the pullback presents a particularly enhanced buying opportunity for investors to own a high-quality name." As for current weirdness, which he acknowledges could mess with street expectations, Mohan sees a few levers Apple could pull. They're similar to suggestions last week from TF International analyst Ming-Chi Kuo. According to MarketWatch, Mohan suggests Apple could source more iPhones from India, raise prices on products and services, pressure its supply chain partners to offer better terms, introduce new products at higher price points than before, and switch up the cadence of its product releases. Mr. Mohan used his most recent note to reiterate a buy rating on Apple shares. He's kept BofA's price target on the shares at $250. The other good news story comes from the good people at IDC. They issued a press release Tuesday that showed Apple outgrowing all other PC makers in the first quarter of 2025. According to the firm, the PC market as a whole was up about 5% globally versus the same quarter a year earlier. Not a happy days are here again thing in the firm's estimation. Rather, one IDC analyst says the entire ecosystem attempted to accelerate the pace of deliveries to avoid the first round of U.S. tariffs and expected volatility for the remainder of the year. Hey, come on now. We're accentuating the positive. That was Apple's market share growing from 8% in Q1 of 24 to 8.7% last quarter. That was on shipments of 5.5 million Macs versus 4.8 million for the year-ago quarter, and growth year-on-year of just over 14%. Still in fourth place, though, behind Dell in third, HP in second, and Lenovo in first. As France goes, so goes Brazil. I told you last week of the European country fining Apple about $162 million US over app tracking transparency. That's a system of rules that keeps third parties from tracking Apple hardware users without the users knowing it. France decided that Apple's implementation of that was unfair to the people who used to make money tracking users without their permission, but cannot do so anymore. Now Brazil is looking into app tracking transparency as well. 9to5Mac ran a piece last week that said Brazilian antitrust regulators are investigating Apple over the feature. The site cites a report from a Brazilian newspaper that has Facebook parent Meta making a fuss. According to that, Meta claims that only third-party apps need to ask users for permission to collect their data, while Apple apps have a free pass to collect and share data with the company. No word on how long the investigation might take. And finally today, Apple's pulled a fairly aggressive move to get more subs for Apple TV+. The Hollywood Reporter says the Cupertino company is offering new and returning subscribers 3 months of the service for $2.99 per month. That's on the heels of the wildly successful second season of Severance, in the midst of the Seth Rogen comedy series The Studio, and just ahead of the hotly anticipated John Hamm-led series Your Friends and Neighbors. The reporter points out that the move is also coming at a precarious moment for the company at large and the economy generally, with President Trump's tariff plan likely to have a serious impact on Apple's bottom line should they continue for an extended period. You know, it's kind of hard to imagine the discount is an immediate reaction to the past week's tumult. Though it is possible Apple planned the price drop in anticipation. Either way, cheap TV. For a limited time. After the 3 months at $3 per, the price goes to the usual $9.99 per month. People wanting to take advantage need to sign up through Apple directly. Apple says the offer is valid through the 24th of April, according to the report. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Cha.